Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Most Motion Show. Today we're going to look at a specific example of how mobility can help with issues you might be having, even if you don't know anything about the issue that you're having. So I'm going to stand up and just demonstrate something. Okay, so yesterday I was talking to a friend who has hip pain, and she had an impact on this side, and the pain is on this side of her hip, okay? So conventional wisdom dictates that if the pain is here, then the problem is here, okay? It's perceived that there's a weakness in strength on this side, and therefore the treatment pattern would be to strengthen that area. But the problem is, she stands very slightly over to one side, so she's standing more onto her right than left. And that means that everything that's supposed to be functioning isn't functioning properly, okay? So if I look at it, and I would be looking at where the tightness is, not where the problem is. So the pain is here, but for me, because the impact was this way, the tightness is through here and also through here, okay? The tightness through here means that her leg bone is rotated inwards, which is stretching out her glutes and making her adductors not fire properly. And it's doing that because the adductors, muscle fibers cross like this when they contract and relax, and that's how they function. But when they're too tight, they don't have anywhere to go, so they can't function properly. And when they're too stretched, they can't contract properly, and that's exactly what was happening with her hip. So rather than looking at ways to strengthen this area and all around this hip here, what we did was look at ways of loosening the tightness, which was inside this thigh and outside of this hip, okay? So rather than having her stand like this all the time, we're redressing the balance and then looking at whether it's suitable for her to be adding more strength to those movements, okay? So a couple of the things that I asked her to do, just to see if we could get the hips moving at all, was to take the hip that was tight, so this one's too short, this bit's too long, okay? Maybe if you imagine like an equal sign, okay, and the balance through the hips should look like this. Essentially what the impact did was push one side too close and then open out the other side. So all this through here was on a stretch and all this in here got too tight. So rather than looking at the area that's sore, we look at the area that's not sore. So all we did was cross one foot over the other and push this hip out as far sideways as possible, okay? So I'm not looking necessarily to dip my hip, but I'm looking for my hip to stay level and for me to push that out to one side, okay? So now, if the equal sign has got disrupted like this and the tightness is through here, now I'm lengthening that tightness here, and if I move around really slowly, and comfortably uncomfortable as a maximum, then my brain will figure out that that doesn't move very well, and it will work out ways of loosening it off, okay? So I can go around in circles, I could go side to side, I could step really far forwards, I could step really far back, whatever suits, okay? And I can add in rotations like this too. Now we're looking at ways of loosening and opening the joints rather than focusing on the area of pain, okay? And that is where mobility has a really great way to help with injuries and aches and pains and things like that you might be having, okay? You don't need to know anything about the injuries themselves. You don't need to know anything about how it's stuck. All you need to do is look for the tightness, okay? So if you've got habits like sitting a certain way with the legs crossed a certain way, then that's your body telling you where your tightnesses are because it was tracking towards the tightness. So in my friend's case, her tightness was in here, and that was drawing her over to stand on one leg, okay? Which was actually making this stretch more. So if you find yourself standing on one side, or you stand with your legs crossed a certain way or whatever, that's telling you where your tightness is because your body feels most comfortable when it's not stretched like that, okay? So the second part of the tightness issue was in here, and all we did for that was take a wide stance like this, turn one toe out that way, have one toe pointing forwards, and then just move the hip backwards and forwards, again repositioning the hip to find out where the tightness is. It'll be different every day, even in the same person, but it'll definitely be different across people, okay? So once you figure out where your tightness is, so for me, for example, right now, I can feel that through here where my hips are pointing slightly in a different way. But because we're looking for tightness, we're not looking for pain, we're not looking for symptoms, then oftentimes we will get rid of those symptoms because we're dealing with the causes of what's happened. Okay? So we're not looking to strengthen anything, we're not looking to focus in on the area of the symptom. Literally all we're doing is looking for the tightness and trying to find ways of unraveling it. Okay? So, mobility can help in lots and lots of different ways, and the more times you look for the tightness, the more improvements you're going to get in your body. So by opening out this hip and this adductor, we stop the pulling over on this side and we start to rebalance. Then we can look at ways of, if necessary, strengthening, but if we don't need to, then we can just carry on with the exercises that we were doing before. So I hope that helps you, and if you want to find out more or you want more free exercises to do, then use the link in the description. And if you've got any questions at all or you want me to check out your movement, then just send me an email, sarah@mostmotion.com, and I'd be more than happy to help you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.